Hi everyone, welcome to Kotlin Hyderabad. We are going to have another session today. Um, this session is all about JavaFX. Many of you who are there for quite long in Java, you may know what is a JavaFX is all about. It's a rich internet application, or you can call it as rich clients. You have it on the desktop. So we have Stephen Chin. You can tell many thing about Srivanchan. Just to tell some of the main thing about him, he is working for JFrog as a senior director for DevRels, and he have written many books in terms of JavaFX and IoT related, as well as he is a speaker. He's a speaker in Java 1. He's a rock star, and also he is part of the Java champion. So let's start with Steven Chen. Then I'll give the stage to Steven Chen. You can start now.
Cool. No, thanks very much, Raj. And I'd much rather be out there in person in Hyderabad. But unfortunately, right now, none of us get to travel very far. And I'm going to talk a little bit about JavaFX today. If folks want to ask questions, should they do it in the YouTube chat, or
Yeah,
how we?
I will be just looking into the YouTube, and also when they have a question, I'll be clicking on it. It will be displayed here, or I will directly read it, and you can directly
Okay.
respond to the question.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so I hope everyone's doing good from their home bunker. So when the virus first kind of was announced, and we all had to take shelter, this is how I kind of pictured myself during the pandemic. So obviously we're going to go back to kind of primitive times, and everybody's going to have to forage for food and hunt for themselves, and of course you need a trusty dog. But I think in reality this is more how things ended up during the pandemic. So this is my home setup, and of course you need lots of monitors and a comfy chair. You can see my comfy chair in the back. And the good video camera and lighting setup. And I also, it's a little hard to see, but I have a treadmill in the back as well, so I can get my exercise in while I'm in using my computer and working on stuff. So I think this is kind of the new reality is we're all working from home, but I think we're very fortunate. So for technology professionals, for the most part, we can do our jobs uninterrupted, and we can be pretty productive. And I think it's not too much of a hindrance to work from home, other than the fact that we can't actually physically get together to do things like these meetups. Okay, and I got to talk a little bit about the history of JavaFX today. And JavaFX has a long, rich history, going all the way back to 2006 when Christopher Oliver created a framework called Form Follows Function. And basically what this did is this allowed you to build applications. At the time, it was built on top of Java 2D and a framework called Piccolo. And then Christopher had a interpreted language, which later got called JavaFX script for writing code, and could do really quick mockups of user interfaces entirely in this framework. When Sun acquired CBeyond, they renamed it JavaFX, and they did an initial release in 2008. This is around the time I got involved in JavaFX technology, because I was working on a widget framework together with Keith Combs, and then Josh Marinacci asked us if we could port it to JavaFX because we were using Swing at the time. And of course, we were excited to use the latest UI framework. This was before the Java 1.0 release. I basically spent my Memorial Day weekend and recoded the entire application in JavaFX, and fell in love, and the rest is history. So I think it's a great UI framework for doing things. It's changed quite a bit though. So in 2011, JavaFX script, the UI scripting language, was removed. Although this is actually a huge benefit, especially for JVM languages like Groovy and Scala and Kotlin, because now JavaFX is just plain vanilla Java APIs. So you don't need to do anything special to code JavaFX script. You can just code directly against the Java APIs, build rich applications with better user interfaces, and you don't have to use a legacy framework like Swing anymore. In 2012, JavaFX became bundled with Java SE 7 Update 6. In 2014, it was fully integrated with the JDK JavaFX 8/Java 8. Now, when JDK 11 came out, JavaFX was removed from the JDK, and obviously this was a tragedy for all of us Java developers. I'm not sure if the audio is going to come out properly across on the stream, but for like any good superhero or supervillain, you can't keep a good hero down. So in the words of the former governor of California, I'll be back, and JavaFX was reborn and relaunched by Gluon, which now supports JavaFX with builds for Java 11, 12, 13, and Java 14. You can use Scene Builder for building user interfaces, and you can use it on iOS and Android as well. So I think this is the best way to learn JavaFX, is to leverage Scene Builder. I'm going to show a quick sample of how you use Scene Builder and build really quick, rich visual user interfaces. You can build for mobile applications, so it's an entirely cross-platform and cross-device framework now. So you might even be using some applications on your phone and didn't realize it. And you get full support for all the latest Java releases. So I think this is really great, and this is what you want from a modern UI framework as a Java developer. Okay, so a few notes about this talk. So first of all, you don't need to bother with writing anything down. So all the slides are published at the link bit.ly/Kotlin hide JFrog. We also have a T-shirt raffle for folks attending this, so it'll be up for I think about a day after the meetup. But make sure that you register, and then you'll be eligible for a T-shirt, and we'll ship one to your house. Normally I'd come and bring some T-shirts myself in my suitcase, but that's not possible this time. So we're going to ship you a T-shirt instead. And you can also find out about some more information about JFrog, which is my employer, which is supporting, obviously me talking about stuff like JavaFX, and also we do a bunch of user group sponsorships. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, I think that the best way to start using JavaFX is to leverage Scene Builder, which is a great way to get started with JavaFX technology. Let me open Scene Builder, and I'll reshare it in just a sec, and show you guys a little bit of what you can do with Scene Builder. Okay, so this is the Scene Builder user interface, and this lets you build rich applications. On the left here, you can see all of the different container types that you can use to build your user interface. There's a bunch of controls as well, so all of the standard UI widgets and controls which you're used to using. There's some custom controls as well for mobile that Gluon's built. Menus, stages, shapes, charts, 3D. We're going to talk about a little bit more about 3D in a bit. And it's an entirely drag and drop user interface. So this left pane has all the widgets you can pick. The bottom left shows you a visual tree of your user interface. The right's a component inspector, and the center's your drag and drop area. So let's stick a border pane here. This is if you're familiar with Swing, this is a standard border pane with a top left, right, bottom layout. And we can pop some controls in it. I wish I knew how menus worked. Let's try. Let's try menu bar. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so we have a menu. We have a list view. We have an image view. Let's put a text thing in. I'll do a text area. Text area. All right, so I dumped a bunch of random things in here, and for the image, we're just gonna pick something random off my desktop, like a JFrog T-shirt. There we go. Okay, when you build the user interface, the quickest way to test it is there's a little preview here, and this shows you the running application, and this actually is a live application, so you can directly use any of the controls inside of here. I'm putting the tree table, so we can't use that. But even the menus are visible. Now there's no controller hooked up to this, so nothing is going to actually take actions like buttons or things. But it lets you test the user interface very easily and make sure that the layout's right. You can resize it, and this is since Scene Builder is written in JavaFX itself, it's actually running your application using JavaFX. So this gives you a pretty good idea of what your application is gonna be like when you run it. Okay, let's open a more complicated example. This actually is one of the samples from the book. And it puts in some simple filters and things to give drop shadows and visual effects on top of the text. There's an image in the back, which is of the NASA one of the NASA satellites, and again we can just run it, and it shows you what it looks like. So it's very easy to mock up interfaces using Scene Builder as a visual builder, and I think if you're just getting started with JavaFX, this is the best way to learn about it, to explore and use the different control types. And even when you're an experienced user of JavaFX, the user interfaces you develop in Scene Builder, you can easily build controllers and extend and integrate into your application. It does a nice job of separating the view from the controller and the code and your model, and this makes it very easy for you to build scalable applications using a clean separation of concerns. Okay, let me go back to the slides. Okay, let's talk a little bit about different JavaFX use cases. And I think there's lots of places where JavaFX is used, which you might not even be aware of. And it's quite commonly used for complicated user interfaces, which are hard to represent in web user interfaces. So this is a example from Mint Software Systems, which does training and resource management for airlines and other kind of enterprise use cases. So, here you can see flight schedule for scheduling crew and, different arrangements for like scheduling flight crews and maintenance and other tasks. And to do this sort of complicated Gantt chart and like visual building of schedules in a web application, you'd have a lot of different pages and kind of like a challenging user interface to develop. And in JavaFX, you can use tree tables, you can use Gantt charts, you can use more complicated controls and build fairly complicated user interfaces, which otherwise would be very hard to create. So there's a lot of good enterprise use cases for using JavaFX. Also, there's great scientific examples for JavaFX. So this is the NASA Deep Space Trajectory Explorer, which NASA uses to trace celestial bodies and their flight paths. And they have scientific libraries written in Java. And because those libraries are written in Java, ideally you want to use a Java user interface language on top of it. And by using JavaFX and JavaFX 3D, they're able to build a really complex modern user interface to do complex scientific visualization with JavaFX as a foundation. And we talked a little bit about mobile, but there's lots of great mobile use cases as well, including the conference application for Devoxx and Voxed is written entirely in JavaFX, and you'd never know it unless you looked at the back end, because it gets ahead of time compiled, it gets shipped as a native application, and the performance is nearly identical to a native application. So you're getting all the same great performance with better ease of use, entire libraries which are running on Java, Kotlin, and JVM languages. And in general, you'd never know that you're running a JavaFX application like SpaceFX. So this is an application which Garrett Grunwald wrote entirely in JavaFX. It's a great example of a JavaFX game, and it runs on mobile. It runs in the browser. It runs on desktop, and it's entirely open source. So let me show the website for SpaceFX. Okay, so here you can see the GitHub page for SpaceFX, which Han Solo and Miho have contributed to, Michael Hoffer have contributed to. Now, they have a cool demo using JPro, which is a technology which lets you run JavaFX in the browser, where we can run the application live. So let's play some SpaceFX right here in the browser. You can see my awesome gaming skills. Let's make the window a little smaller. Boop, boop, boop. Hall of Fame. Did I die already? That was pretty fast. Okay, so this is, oops, no, now I'm dead. So this is what the game looks like when you're running it. You can do really complex visualizations with JavaFX animations, and this is running inside the browser with a front end, which is basically getting all the user interfaces being redone in JavaScript by JPro, and the back end is running your JavaFX code. So they do a nice job of doing all the vector transformations to directly run your code inside the browser and get very good performance, even within a browser. But of course, desktop, you get better performance because you can take advantage of direct 3D graphics acceleration. We'll talk about 3D libraries a little bit. And on mobile as well, and embedded, you can take full advantage of graphics acceleration and the latest graphics advances. Okay, so this is JPro. And this application, let's go back to the slides for a sec. Okay, so the first thing which I'm gonna show some examples of is JavaFX 3D. I think this is one of the more modern APIs added to JavaFX. It's something which you didn't have in legacy toolkits like Swing and Java 2D. And I think also it's kind of fun to play around with, because if you've done any 3D programming in OpenGL or other low-level languages, you know that it's not that user-friendly to build things in those low-level 3D programming languages, and leveraging modern language like Java and a modern graphics toolkit like JavaFX, you can do all this stuff, and even if you're not an expert in 3D, you can build some pretty complicated user interfaces. So basically, the way you do user interfaces in JavaFX is you create mesh geometries using 3D shapes, like boxes and spheres and cylinders. You can also import your own custom meshes using triangle mesh and mesh view to import from 3D programs and do more complicated meshes. And once you have your objects in the visual scene, the next thing you want to do is do some texture mapping to give them some visual looks for it. And this is accomplished by using a UV map, which defines how the texture map maps to the 3D objects, and then a texture file, which is just basically an image. What it does is it does a mapping from the 2D coordinates to 3D coordinates, maps the graphics, and then projects that onto your 3D object. And just with these two things, with simple shapes like spheres and textures, you can actually build usable user interfaces in 3D. And then the other thing to add to this is lighting. JavaFX supports point lights and ambient lights. And if you don't specify any lights, it'll give you a default light, so your scene is in black. But using lights is a way that you can make your user interface more vibrant, and I'll show some examples of this as well. And of course, there's great open source support as well. So there's a bunch of built-in shapes, but you can also use libraries like FXYZ 3D, which allows you to define some 3D shapes directly in code. I think this is a 3D shape called a toroid, and it's defined via the radius of the curves, the number of curves, and the rotation and everything entirely in code, rather than having to create it in a 3D program. Okay, let's look at some examples of this stuff in action. Okay, so we're gonna start with an example to show how you can create some simple scenes with a sphere, a cylinder, and a box. So here you can see a really simple example. And what it does is it creates a new sphere, it creates a cylinder, creates a box is somewhere here. Oh, here's the box. You can see the arguments are the the box has the width, height, depth, sphere has the radius, and then you adding these to a group, and then setting some rotation on it, and then adding to a scene. So not much code, right? It all fits in on the screen. And this is basically one of the simplest applications you can build using JavaFX, and it lets you quickly build user interfaces that look kind of like this. So you can see, I think I did that right. There you go. So you can see the sphere, the cylinder, and the box here from running the application. Okay, and let's look at another example of so earlier I was talking a bit about how you can do texture mapping by putting things inside of a by applying textures to spheres. So what this application does is it takes a simple image of the Earth using a Mercator projection, which is shown here, maps it onto a sphere using a Phong material. So it's going to create a sphere with a radius of 400, set the material on it, translate it, add some lighting, and then add it to the scene, and add some event handlers. So as you drag it, you can see the scene moving. And to show the output of this, here's the Earth sphere with the texture mapping, and then as you rotate it, you can use your mouse to rotate this using the event handlers. So we can't zoom, but I think here's where you guys are in India, and I'm out here in California, where it's currently 5 a.m. So I think it's probably around 7-ish there. Actually, it's half an hour off, maybe 7:30, 6:30, probably 6:30 there, and 5 a.m. here. Okay, so that's an example of how you can apply texture mapping to a sphere. And let's go into a more complicated example showing some lighting, which we talked about as well. And I think once you bring all these together, the shapes and the materials, texture mapping, and the lighting, then you can build fairly complicated user interfaces. So this is an example which brings together different light sources. So you have a red and blue light source, and we're putting a box in the scene, and then we're going to illuminate the box with these two point lights. And this kind of shows you how the difference which lighting makes on a fairly simple scene. So let me go ahead and run this. Okay, so here's the box, and there's two lights now. There's a red light and a blue light. Since they're both illuminating the scene, you get a purple box. If we move the red light over, now you can see that the face, which is just illuminated by the red light, is red. The one illuminated by the blue light over here is blue. And the one on the top, which gets a little bit of both of them, is purple. And now if I move the lights entirely to one face, now you can see one face is red, one face is blue, one face is black, because it's not getting any lighting. So you can do nice, simple effects using JavaFX and just simple lighting effects. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, here we go. So this is kind of gives you an idea of what the point lights look like when they're very close to a surface. Okay, and let's look at one more example, and then we'll go back to the code. So I talked a bit about the FXYZ library, which is an open source library, which lets you build user interfaces, build JavaFX objects entirely in code. This is how you create the spring mesh. You give it the radius, the wire radius, the pitch, the length you want, the number of divisions, and the crop and wire crop. And then add this to your scene. And you can see that this is not much code, and just with a little bit of code, you can create a fairly complicated graphical user interface. Let me show you the running application. So here's the running application, and you can see the spring mesh, which is entirely created programmatically by code. Okay, so all the examples I've been showing are done in Java, and of course, JavaFX is Java library, so you can do it in Java, but you can also do it in different JVM languages, like Kotlin. If you're using Java 8 and prior, there's a UI library called TornadoFX, which allows you to directly use kind of custom-built Kotlin APIs to build your JavaFX application. Unfortunately, it hasn't been updated for Java 9 Plus. So if you're using Java 9 or later, then you can also build JavaFX apps in Kotlin, but you just have to directly code against the JavaFX Java APIs. This isn't hard to do. There's a lot of great examples about how to do this by Andre Almaray did a great example of this using the Griffin framework. There's also some good examples just showing basic applications written in Kotlin directly against the JavaFX APIs. And since the APIs are pure Java, it's not very hard to manipulate from Kotlin. And actually, the equivalent Kotlin code will be shorter than source code written directly in Java. And of course, if anyone in this group or folks are interested, it would be great to actually have some folks contributing to projects like TornadoFX and doing more direct support for Kotlin. Also, historically, there was another framework called KotlinFX as well, which was another attempt to create a JVM language for Kotlin. So if anyone's interested to contribute, I think it'd be great to have more folks supporting JavaFX in the Kotlin language community. Okay, and I'm going to go into some tips and tricks for kind of the 3 best practices which I see for building modern applications using JavaFX. And the first one is you should always package your platform. And historically, when we built Java applications in Swing or AWT, you just ship a fat jar or ship your class files. The other person would run it because they have Java installed, and you'd hope they have the right Java version so your application ran successfully and they have all their class path and everything set up properly. And if they didn't, then they were kind of out of luck. And I think today with the number of different Java versions, so we have Java 9, Java 10, all the way through Java 15 now. And we have different OpenJDK versions from Adopt OpenJDK, Azul, Liberica, and a whole bunch of different vendors who provide OpenJDK versions. And I think when you look at this at large, there's so many choices out there that you really need, for your end user, you really need to simplify things and just package a working application, which they don't have to think about, and they can just run for their platform. And this is already the case for mobile apps, where the size and complexity of mobile apps continues to go up. If you think of the average mobile application you download and use on your phone, it's easily a gigabyte or more, and like applications which people commonly use, like Netflix, Instagram, YouTube, for a while have been over almost 2 gigabytes in size, and folks are perfectly happy with downloading and using applications which are larger, because the storage size and the ability to have large applications has increased on desktop and also on mobile. And also, you can take advantage in Java of advances in modularity. So with Java 9, now when you compile your application and build it with tools like JLink and JPackage, it will simply include the modules and the components which are required for your application to run, strip out the rest. So I would definitely recommend JPackage, which is available in Java 14 and Java 15. There's new options like doing native image support using Graal and Graal VM. And also, WebStart has been rebooted as a project by Karakun. So you can check out the Open WebStart project and publish using WebStart. And all of these will give you a clean experience for your end user, where they just run your application. They don't have to worry about having the right version of Java installed, or having their class path set, or all that complicated stuff, which fat jars would historically require you to know how to do. And when you think about it from a packaging perspective, this is kind of what it looks like. So you take your application plus the dependencies, and I'll show an example of how to kind of set up a build script and do this stuff. You have your JDK and your JavaFX SDK, which you can get from Gluon. If you're using Graal VM to package it, Graal VM is a high-performance Java runtime done by Oracle Labs, so that's highly recommended, and give that a try and use that to package your applications. And then you get an executable which will run on your desktop platform of choice, your mobile platform of choice, and even embedded platforms like Raspberry Pi. And speaking of embedded and mobile, kind of my second best practice for building Java applications is to target mobile first. So I think we're all used to historically targeting desktop applications, but when you think about it, mobile applications have, for a while, since 2018, had more web traffic than desktop applications. And I think particularly in India, there's lots of folks who have mobile phones and don't even have desktop or laptop computers. So you're missing a huge market segment unless you build and think about mobile first. And also, mobile UIs are typically easier and simpler to write. So if you start with a feature constraints set, using a framework like Gluon to build a mobile application, then you can build that and expand it into a more rich desktop version later on, or a more rich tablet experience if you want to build a tablet-specific version. So using Gluon and any OpenJDK version starting from 11 plus, you can build for both iOS and Android, for desktop platforms as well. There's plugins for Gradle and Maven to make it very easy to build your application, IDE support for IntelliJ Eclipse and NetBeans, and some great samples provided by the Eclipse community, by the Gluon company. So give it a try, and I think this is a great starting place. And you can even as a starting point, try the SpaceFX application, which I showed earlier, which has been ported to mobile, and I think it's available in the App Store, but I'd recommend just going to the GitHub page and trying to build it yourself as well. Okay, and the third best practice, I think, is to build for the cloud. So if you're building applications, you want to think cloud first. And traditionally with desktop applications, you wouldn't really worry about cloud. You might even use local storage or local databases like Derby. But I think there's a lot of benefits you're missing, like the ability to do multi-user interactive applications, to leverage web APIs and web services, and to build more clean architectures for your end user to do authentication and things cleanly integrated. So one example of this is ETO board, which is a Scrum application designed for communication across teams on different sites, and that you can use a touch screen to kind of update your tasks and do to set up your sprint data, and then other teams at other locations will see it updated live. So I think in a virtual world, which you're currently stuck in, this is a great application of JavaFX technology to do more complicated user interfaces. Okay, so let me show an example of JavaFX running in the cloud. We're gonna do a little weather app, and let me show you the code first. Okay, so this is well, this is the build file for the weather app code. So I have a little Gradle build file. This is the actual source code, and what we're using here is we're gonna go against open weathermap.org, which has REST APIs which give us weather information. To use the APIs, we give it an app ID or an API key and a city that we want to get the weather for. So the last user group I spoke in was St. Louis, but let's see how the weather is in Hyderabad. And it pulls back things using JSON APIs, using Jackson library, with the model which is defined here. So you can see the weather model, the winds. So these are little POJOs which give us the data back. And then we calculate the temperature. Now in St. Louis, we decided we wanted to do things in Fahrenheit, but we'll change this to Celsius in just a sec. All right, so let's try running this first. Oops, I debugged it. That should still work. Okay. So let me share the running app. Okay, so it says the weather in Hyderabad is hazy. So what do you guys think? Is that pretty accurate? 80 degrees Fahrenheit, a little bit hazy, 57% humidity. Now we're doing Fahrenheit, which is not very helpful. So let's change this to Celsius by doing a little coding. So this calculation here takes the temperature, subtracts 273.15 to get it from Kelvin to Celsius. We hacked this to do the conversion, but we don't need that anymore. And we'll say Celsius. So this should give us the temperature in Celsius. Okay. All right. So what do you think, Raj? Is it about 26 Celsius over there? Your microphone's not working.
Sorry. Yeah, it is perfect. It is 27 degrees Celsius, hazy.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. That's way too hot for this time of year. Yeah, we're getting to winter here, so my heater's been kicking on because it's cold already.
1 minute. Someone have asked one question. Will these demo codes be made available for download?
Yeah, so all the examples that I'm showing are available in the GitHub page for the book. So for the Java modern client development in JavaFX, but you don't need to buy the book. You can just grab the source code examples directly and try them out. So all these examples are available right now.
And also, I shared your Mary Had a Little Lamb also to them. I think it is working. Maybe it is modified quite long back, I think. 7 years
Um,
ago, 8 years ago.
what did you say, Raj?
Mary Had a Little Lamb, the one which you did for JavaFX, and
Oh yeah. So
it
that
was,
that
yeah,
that I use a variant of that app for teaching kids workshops. So it still works, and we run it on Raspberry Pi machines and teach kids how to program in Java.
I learned Lambda by using that one only.
Nice, nice. Um, okay, and let me. So of course, I have to show a little bit of my company stuff. So let me show you guys. Hold on a sec. Let's go back to the code. Oh, did I close it by accident? Hold on. There it is. Um, okay, so here's the code again, and I also set up in the build script. I set it up so I can publish to Artifactory, which is our artifact management system. So if you're doing Java development and pulling dependencies, you want to have information about the dependencies you're pulling, and also you want a place to publish your artifacts. So let's run this and then publish it to an Artifactory instance. And I set up a instance running on the free version of Artifactory. So we have a new free version that you can use in the cloud. Um, so let me show that quickly. So this is it. Okay, and I did a test publish before the presentation, but let's check again. I should have the new one. Okay, yeah. So here's the new one, 519. So that's the one I just pushed. And then here you can see the weather app we pushed, the environment details, and information on security scanning. So we're good. No security vulnerabilities. And this allows you to have a single place to store your builds, to do security scanning, and if you work in a large team, to also do pushes to cloud native environments like Kubernetes. Okay, so let's go back to the slides, close it out, and then I'll take question and answer about stuff I've talked about. Okay, so we showed the weather application. We talked a bit about the JFrog's free subscription. If you're interested to try Artifactory or the security scanning X-ray that I just showed, you can get a free version at Artifactory Start Free, or I believe there's also a link on the show notes page, which I shared earlier. And the book which I mentioned, the Definitive Guide to Modern Java Clients at JavaFX, was written by all of these wonderful Java experts across the globe. So Johan Voss, Jose Pereda, Galen Paul Anderson, Jim Weaver, Eugene, Sven, myself, Tony, William, Bruno, Weichi, and Jonathan Giles. So a huge cast of some of the biggest minds in the Java community who contributed to this great book. So I think it's a great reference. All the samples, as I mentioned, are available online for free that you get, and all of the slides and information which I showed are available um, on this link, Kotlin hide JFrog, bit.ly/Kotlin hide JFrog. Okay, so that's all the content I prepared, but I'm happy to chat or answer questions folks have about things which I've talked about, or just say hi to Raj. It's been a while since we talked.
Yes, I'm just saying, guys, if you have any question, please post. I will can show it here. We have around people there. But Steve, I have another question. Is JFrog is having any JavaFX application?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the interface I just showed is a web user interface
Mm-hmm.
for Artifactory and X-Ray. It's actually, I think Artifactory is all written in Java, so it is
Mm-hmm.
a Java web application. But we don't use JavaFX as a client right now. But I think there's some potential, right, for creating some specific user interfaces to accomplish different tasks. And of course, it supports JavaFX libraries and things as well. So I didn't go into detail, but it shows you in
Okay.
Artifactory that I'm using the base JavaFX module, and I think there's two other modules I'm using. I'm using base, and I'm not sharing this right now. Let me swap. Uh, so when I swap screens, do you have to manually click it to put it live?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you've been doing this all very quickly. So when you look at it, it shows you um, the modules I'm using, and where is it? Oh, here is dependencies, and then I'm using the JavaFX base, JavaFX controls, and JavaFX graphics libraries. So it knows about different Java libraries, even the JavaFX modules when you get things imported.
Okay. And if what is the new features is going to come if it is done by not Oracle? So any new features, any roadmap for JavaFX is planned?
So Gluon's been doing a good job of contributing to OpenJDK and OpenJFX and adding new features. So Johan Voss is one of the core contributors
Mm-hmm.
for JavaFX. I know the Graal team as well is doing some good support for JavaFX, and they're interested to make sure it works well with Graal VM, so you can do ahead of time compilation and faster user interfaces. And there's a bunch of open source libraries for doing controls, like Garrett Grunwald has ControlsFX, which is a library for doing a bunch of like fancy custom controls and dials and gauges. So I think there's a lot of new things which are coming out and being supported by the community. But the core JavaFX, it's mostly about stability and making sure it works both the latest JDK releases and has good performance and runs on mobile and other platforms.
Okay. Okay, if anyone wanted to contribute for JavaFX and yeah, what about contributing to JavaFX if someone wanted to do it?
Yeah, so it's JavaFX itself is all open source. So you can contribute on the OpenJDK project. There's a sub project called OpenJFX.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some, let me show, actually this isn't the right, oh, well, I'm gonna show my browser and then We'll get there. Um, so it's part of the OpenJDK project that you can contribute to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's all done in the open. I think they now have stuff in GitHub, and there's an OpenJFX subproject um, that's part of OpenJDK that you can contribute to. So there's more information on the wiki about OpenJFX. So I think this is something which, if you contribute bug fixes or patches, I think this is like very welcomed by the Java community. And the other thing is, I was mentioning Tornado FX. So if we have any folks who like JavaFX and also are pros in Kotlin, this is an open source framework for building JavaFX applications in Kotlin. It's not the only way to do it. As I mentioned, you can just use the Java APIs directly. But it is in need of a little TLC. You can see the last check-in was like 2 years ago. So I think that getting some contributions to libraries like this to update it for not yet compatible with Java 9.10. Getting things like this updated shouldn't be that hard to update it for the latest Java version. And then this would be a great support for the Kotlin community building JavaFX apps more easily.
Yep. Another one, if anyone, because this is what happens whenever I speak with anyone, because many of the people are being caught into clouds and front end more, because they are not into desktop applications, because we have seen the desktop in those days, and what the people who today or have only seen the HTML and the client server is the only thing. So what is the best way to start in JavaFX? I assume that I have a background of Java, but I heard only server based and everything, but I'm not into desktop application I have. So what is a best way to start learning to it?
Yeah, so I would try Scene Builder,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I showed a quick demo of earlier. And let me share my screen again. So you can download Scene Builder directly from Gluon. It gives you easy drag and drop user interface development, and it's the applications you develop with Scene Builder it's going to generate a nice clean XML or FXML file which describes your user interface, which you can build a controller for in Java. So it's not as if you're building something which you're throwing away. It's reusable, and you have builds for Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can use it on the latest version of JavaFX, and I think that's the easiest way to get started and to start building applications. And of course, it's quite easy to build JavaFX applications, as I was showing you guys. So all the samples I showed are available in the GitHub repo for the book, and a lot of them are no more than a page of code. So it's really easy and simple to get started with if you're a Java developer.
So if I download the Oracle Java, it is already having the JavaFX.
No, so you have to download JavaFX also from Gluon. So
Mm.
same website where you get Scene Builder, you download the latest JavaFX build.
Or maybe
JDK
it will be
JDK 8
available
comes
already.
with JavaFX, Java 9 Plus. You download it
Mm-hmm.
separately.
Okay, or
Um,
else I can directly use it through Maven, something like that.
yeah, so you can pull it in as a Maven dependency as well. And it's fully modularized, so you can just get the module definitions and directly use those.
Okay, I don't think anyone is having any question till now. Okay. Um. Okay. How many? If any of the JVM peoples wanted to learn, I know only Groovy FX, Scala FX, and Tornado FX. Is there any other JVM language based JavaFX packages you remember?
Um, yeah, so I did the original version of ScalaFX. Jarek is doing a great job in continuing to support it, so they're continuing to release it and maintain it and upgrade it, which is awesome. Groovy also has a JavaFX libraries. I did a prototype for not for Kotlin, for Clojure,
Mm-hmm.
um, just to show the potential. But again, you can directly do it. Okay, let's see. There, it looks like there is a Clojure wrapper called ClojureFX.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also it's 2 years since it was updated, so maybe it's
Got it.
not the most well maintained. So I'm not sure I can recommend it. Um, yeah, but I think ScalaFX is well maintained. That's something which Jarek and the team do a great job of keeping up to date. Um, and GroovyFX. Let's see. Let's see how up to date GroovyFX is. Okay, so yeah, GroovyFX also needs some updates. Oh no, they've been keeping up. Andre has been updating it. So he hasn't been updating
Mm-hmm.
the website, but he's been updating the project. So it works with Java 11. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, GroovyFX is alive. ScalaFX is alive. Yeah.
Griffon is really using. I was tried Griffon with JavaFX was really good.
hmm Yeah. Andre does a great job with the Griffin UI framework as well, which also supports Kotlin, so you can use it with Kotlin.
Okay, I don't think anyone is having any questions. Steve, thank you so much for joining and for giving lot of answering the questions in JavaFX. So I hope people will be coming with questions, and maybe they may be asking about maybe Scala FX or something like that. If you can, we can have another session on that or anything else that we can do soon in
hmm
future. Thank you so much for joining then. We will
Yeah.
see
No.
you.
Thanks for having me. I wish I could be there in person, but it's still good to see you and be able to
Next
speak to
year
your
we
user
will
group.
surely try.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know me. If I'm physically nearby, I'll let you know.
Or you're planning to come to JFrog in India anywhere, we will pull you to Hyderabad.
Yeah. So we have a big office in Bangalore
Uh-huh.
for JFrog, and actually we're working on adding somebody from the DevRel team to the India office. So I think she might be on the live stream.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. So see you soon then. We will catch up at some other session or in Hyderabad soon.
Yep. No, thank you. It was great.
Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Steve, for joining with us. Bye. Have a good day. Be safe.
Yep. You as well.
Thank you.